We have some massive breaking news. Late last night, the UFC announced that they were canceling the UFC 303 Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler pre-fight press conference, which was set for Dublin, Ireland. And this was less than 12 hours out from when the press conference was set to take place. And this was supposed to be a mega event to promote UFC 303. And now the speculation out there is Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler even going to happen? This fight is in jeopardy. And from everything I've seen, and I'm going to lay out all the different evidence that we've seen so far and all the discussion we've seen so far, I think UFC 303 is, in massive jeopardy. And I think the UFC right now is scrambling to try to fix this event. We're going to take a look at what Dana White had to say at the UFC 302 post-fight presser. We're going to take a look at what Michael Chandler had to say. We're going to take a look at what Conor McGregor had to say. We're going to take a look at what Ariel Helwani had to say. And also, something that a lot of people probably did not see, a reliable source posted what's going on with Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, but it has since been deleted. Now, I'm not going to show you who that is. You're just going to have to take my word for it that it's a reliable source, but I'm going to show you the redacted tweets. When I saw this initially, I took screenshots because I'm like, you know what? This may end up getting deleted. So I took screenshots. I'm going to show you the redacted version of these tweets, but that may put all speculation to rest. I'm going to give my opinion on it. I'm going to speculate about what I think's going on, but let's jump into it right away and look at the post that the UFC posted last night. We have, dear UFC fans, the UFC 303 press conference scheduled for Monday, June 3rd in Dublin, Ireland at the 3 Arena has been postponed until further notice. We sincerely apologize to all the fans who are planning to attend. When we have further information on a new date and time, we will share it immediately. Thank you. And then they have this little graphic, about the Dublin press conference being postponed. The UFC always likes to say postponed, even if it's canceled. This may end up getting postponed. I find it hard to believe. If they're going to cancel this event now, I don't think it's ever going to happen. Dana White and his staff are already there. They've already planned this whole thing out. They lost a lot of money. They spent a lot of money for no return with this press conference being canceled. Dana's already in Dublin, Ireland. We're going to take a look at a clip of what he was talking about, the UFC 302 post-fight presser, where he says, I'm going to see Conor right now. So the fact that he's already over there, they told Michael Chandler, we have this confirmed from Ariel Helwani, and also if you check Michael Chandler's Instagram, he's still in America, confirmed from Ariel Helwani that Michael Chandler was called from the UFC, by the UFC, said don't board that plane, which would have been crazy if Michael Chandler would have already been on a flight over there or already over there just for it to get canceled. Would have been insane. But let's take a look at what Dana White had to say at the post-fight presser for 302. He's asked about Conor McGregor partying and out drinking, and he responds with what he thinks about that, and also that he'll be seeing Conor very shortly. Let's listen.
Weeks out from the fight.
Well, again, you and I, here we are. We were talking about John Jones. John Jones was doing a lot of that stuff too back in the day, and many other fighters throughout history. I don't know what's real on the internet and what's not real on the internet. I don't know timing-wise, and one of them he's got a beard, and one of them he doesn't have a beard, and I have no idea. I don't know if any of that's real or true or whatever, but...
Saying it might be fake. I doubt that it's fake, but maybe.
Conor's not a dumb guy, and this is obviously a big fight for him. He's calling it the best comeback in the history of sports. And
I think that was Chandler that called it that when he was just dick riding him, but okay.
And all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. I'll actually be with him tomorrow, so I'm flying there right now. Yeah. So I'll see what's going on.
Yeah, what do you?
I'm going to see him I'm going to see him tomorrow. So we'll find out what's going on. He's going to be, look at the cream, yeah? So Dana White left UFC 302, flew right to Dublin, Ireland. So if Dana White's already there and they're canceling the press conference 12 hours notice, that's very, very interesting. And that's a massive loss of money for the UFC. Just wasted money. Just wasted money. Now let's look at what Michael Chandler put out on Twitter. So this is what Michael Chandler's put out in the last 10 hours. So first off, literally yesterday, he's retweeting posts about the press conference in Dublin, okay? Then second to most recently, 10 hours ago, you have denying yourself of passion is a slow suicide. Throw yourself fully into purpose. Even if you fall short, what you gained along the way is immeasurable. Hashtag UFC 303. Walk on. See you at the top. Does that sound like a guy that's confident he's fighting at 303? Denying yourself of your passion is slow suicide. He's been denying himself of his passion for the last 2 years, sitting out waiting for a Conor McGregor red panty night that may never come to fruition. But that, who knows? We don't know for sure yet. I'm telling you right now, Spoiler alert, from everything I've seen, I'm convinced that the fight's off, but I'll make another video on that if we get confirmation. I'm going to give my opinion later on in this video, but that's 10 hours ago from Michael Chandler. All right, let's see his most recent post. Quote, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy, end quote. Martin Luther King Jr., walk on, see at the top. When Michael Chandler is tweeting out Martin Luther King Jr. quotes, that tells me, that's confirmation. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. Fight's off, in my opinion. Now, again, it's unconfirmed. We don't know for sure yet. We're going to look at what Ariel had to say. We're going to look at what a reliable source had to say on the situation, which I have my opinion on that as well. But these tweets from Michael Chandler are not very reassuring. I think Michael Chandler got the phone call and they said, look, the Conor fight may not happen. Don't get on the plane. We're canceling the press conference. We don't know yet. We'll let you know when we know. And Michael Chandler said, and then he hung up and cried. Okay. Probably turned on Creed, created my own prison, one last breath. He's 6 foot from the edge. I think Chandler is really terrified right now, and he's tweeting out these things, and he's trying to come to terms with the fact he may never fight Conor McGregor, even though he sat out for 2 years waiting for him. But that's not confirmed yet. Let's look at what Conor McGregor had to say. Now, I had to pull up MMA Fighting's tweet about Conor McGregor's tweet because Conor McGregor has me blocked. I have no idea why. I can only assume it's because I've pointed out in the past that Conor McGregor has liked explicit videos of men performing sexual acts by themselves on Twitter. So I'm assuming that's why I got blocked. But listen to what Conor said. Conor said, in consultation with the UFC, today's press conference was canceled due to a series of obstacles outside of our control. I apologize to Irish fans and fans around the world for the inconvenience and appreciate all your passion and support. I can't wait to put on the greatest all-time show in the Octagon. Doesn't say see you June 29th, which I think is very, very, very telling. Doesn't say see you June 29th. So obstacles outside of our control. What could those obstacles be? Now, before we get into what Ariel said, before we get into the tweets that came out from a reliable source, what are some of the reasons that the press conference could get canceled? So first off, when I initially saw this news, I posted it in my Discord. I said the fight's off. My initial impression was UFC 303, McGregor Chandler is canceled. If you go back to UFC 200, McGregor didn't show up for the press conferences. The fight got canceled / postponed. Conor McGregor Nate Diaz 3 or Conor McGregor Nate Diaz 2 was pushed to UFC 202 or 203. I think it was 202. So that's the first precedent that popped into my mind. But also I'm thinking, you know what? This was Dublin, Ireland. This wasn't in Dana White's backyard. This wasn't in Las Vegas where they have everything. They have all the logistics. This was in Dublin, Ireland. This was a lot of money to cancel this press conference. So my initial thought was that this fight's canceled. But what are some of the reasons the press conference could have got canceled? Logistical issues. Was Conor McGregor not able to make it? Dana White not able to make it? Michael Chandler not able to make it? Well, we know the UFC, according to Ariel, and we're going to look at that clip in a second, we know that Michael Chandler was told not to get on a plane. This is Conor McGregor's backyard. Dana White has a private jet. He said, I'm leaving 302. I'm flying right to Dublin, Ireland. Dana White and the UFC staff is already on hand in Dublin, Ireland. So I doubt it's logistical issues. Is it possible? Of course, but I feel like the UFC would have came out and said that already. Okay, next thing. Could it be injuries? Conor McGregor's never pulled out of a fight due to an injury, but this is his return fight, so that is possible. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. Also, if Chandler was injured, he ain't pulling out. But also, again, he was told, don't come to Ireland. So it seems like very unlikely it's an injury. Next up, could Conor McGregor have gotten into more legal trouble? We know his history. The NBA finals are coming up. Maybe, he's going into public restrooms. Who knows what's going on with Conor McGregor? But I feel like, it's now 7 p.m. Eastern time. I feel like there would have been reports from Irish media covering Conor McGregor having an arrest warrant out or being charged with something. So I feel like that's super unlikely right now. Next thing, could it be a failed drug test? Could Conor McGregor have failed a drug test? Yes, that's possible, but I find it hard to believe with the UFC's in-house drug testing system. I don't care that George Pirro was on 60 Minutes not once but twice. I don't care that George Pirro was the last point of contact for Saddam Hussein. I believe if Conor tested positive, they would bury it, they would hide it, they would sweep it under the rug. So I don't think it's a failed drug test. Is it possible? Yes, but very unlikely. Now, also, could Conor McGregor be on a bender? It looks like, at least from the history we've had over the past few months, It's looked like Conor's abusing substances, whether it's cocaine. I'm butchering the word substances. Whether it's cocaine or alcohol. He's been out partying all week, according to his Instagram. Maybe some people have alluded to he's just kind of posting old videos. But his last post on his Instagram is him at some drinking event. Now, all of a sudden, the next day, the press conference is canceled. So could it be something to do with that? Could Dana White have shown up and said Conor's in no shape to be at a press conference? We got to cancel this event. Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. I think it could be something along the lines of Conor's alcohol abuse, drug abuse, causing a cancellation of the press conference. Yes, of course. Couple more things. And actually one of the most, I think plausible explanations. And again, we're going to get into, what somebody who's legit reported or didn't actually report, but kind of said behind the scenes and it got, pushed out online. But I think one of the major things that could be is Conor McGregor contract negotiations. Conor McGregor has said literally in every interview he has 2 fights left on his deal. I said in the past I thought the UFC was icing him. Conor was saying, I want to fight, I want to fight, I want to fight, I want to fight. Now they could have came to terms. They could have had like a verbal agreement in place. Dana White went there to seal the deal before the press conference. Conor McGregor potentially trying to strong arm the UFC and Dana because of the star that he is. And Dana White just saying, look, no, it's not going to happen. And then he's like, look, I'll cancel the press conference right now. And Dana White canceled the press conference. I think that is a high probability. And honestly, I think any of these outside of the logistical issues, I think any of these kind of speculative theories are possible. There's a variety of them, that could be possible. Could there be contract issues? Could there be, injuries? Yes. Could Conor be wanting to sign a new long-term deal before he fights because he's partially injured and if he loses, he doesn't want his stock to go down? Yes. There could be a variety of these. But right now, we truly don't know. And again, when we get updated information, confirmed information, I will let you guys know. And also, we're going to take a look at those tweets here in a second. But let's listen to what Ariel Helwani had to say, okay? Let's listen to what Ariel had to say. This was from the MMA Hour. He's talking about Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler. And I really don't like the way that Ariel was talking about this just because it's like, I'll get to it in a second. We'll listen to it and then I'll get to it.
And I see a lot of people wondering what it could be. I could tell you right now with 100% certainty, confirmed 1,000%, that nothing with regards to any sort of legal issue, incident of any kind, drama of any kind.
I don't know why it stopped moving. I guess something's wrong with the video maybe. Let's see.
Criminal thing of any kind, fight of any kind.
And also, this is what I don't like about Ariel. Who did he confirm this with? Conor McGregor's team? Okay, that is a reliable source, but are they going to tell you the truth? No, they're going to have you put it out there so that you can report it because you're influential in the MMA media landscape. But let's listen.
Alcohol, this, that, like none of that is at play here. There is no salacious story. There is no, there's no great drama. There's no great theater. There's no story. There's nothing going to come out. There's no egg on anyone's face. Nothing of that sort.
So basically nothing that Conor McGregor has done that could make him look bad is the reason why this press conference got canceled. So basically Ariel running interference for Conor McGregor to make him look good. And maybe this is truthful, but I believe Ariel got this information from Conor McGregor or Conor McGregor's management, which makes it a little less reliable.
With regards to any sort of like out of athletic activities, if you get what I'm saying. I can also tell you with 100% certainty, because I'm seeing all the stuff here. I'm seeing all the theories and the people throwing out stuff. There's nothing regarding any sort of drug testing or anti-doping or anything like that. It is not that.
So he didn't fail a test.
I could tell you that the press conference was postponed today due to an issue that has, precluded it from happening. And so the question now is, A, are they going to pick a new day? And of course, on everyone's mind is, will this affect June 29th? As of right this second, me sitting in my chair talking about this, June 29th is still on.
So as of right this second, the fight is not canceled, according to Ariel Helwani. Now, the other stuff, look, if you take what Ariel said and you believe it, which I'm not saying that he's wrong. I think Ariel is a very reliable source. He's saying there's no alcohol, arrests, PED issue. What does that leave? That only leaves injury. That only leaves injury for the reason Conor McGregor's press conference was canceled. And what that tells me is if Conor McGregor is injured, then they don't know if he's going to make the fight, so they don't want to have a massive mega press conference to then cancel the fight a week later. That's what it's telling me. Again, though, Ariel could be getting this information from Conor McGregor's camp. I doubt he's getting it from Dana White himself. And therefore, I kind of take this with a grain of salt. Now, what are the tweets that I've recently seen? And we're also going to look at one more clip from Dana White when we speculate about what could the potential replacements for this headliner at UFC 303 be. Now, I'm going to redact some of these tweets, okay? Because I don't want to get this person in trouble. These tweets have since been deleted. But this is a translation also, okay? And I'm only going to read half of it because I'm covering up the part that would expose who this is because I don't want them to get in trouble. But I'll tell you this. The person who tweeted this out cited a reliable source who commented on a certain video. And it says, Conor has a minor injury and they are trying to keep him in UFC 303. I've also received the information this afternoon. If he doesn't fight, maybe they put Pereira versus Yuri and keep Chandler with Max BMF. That would be crazy. And that would be in line with what Ariel said in terms of, we're going to discuss what could replace it. But in terms of what Ariel's saying, it's not drug testing, it's not this, it's not that. Conor McGregor injury could be it. Now, I also think the UFC could be covering with that story, but it is what it is. Now, there's one more tweet, and he says, we'll see what happens. I understand that they are going to push with Conor until the end because it would be a problem for the UFC if he left now. They have almost all the tickets sold for a fortune. It's the highest box office in the history of the UFC. That's very telling. And again, this came from a reliable source. I can't put it out there. I'm not going to get this person in trouble. These tweets have since been taken down right after they were posted, almost. I took a screenshot. I'm like, what if these get deleted? I took a screenshot soon after they were deleted. Now, I think there could be a chance that Conor McGregor is injured and he wants to stay in the fight, but at the same time, he says, look, I got 2 fights left on my deal. I'm coming back from a catastrophic leg break. I know I'm known for never pulling out. Michael Chandler's been sucking him off. Conor always shows up. When he says he's going to show up, he's always going to show up. I think part of Conor is being that bullheaded, like, you know what? I need to show up no matter what. But at the same time, 2 fights left on his deal. If he goes out there and gets starched by Michael Chandler, his value is going to drop. So I think this could be a cover story for contract negotiations between Conor McGregor and the UFC. I truly believe that. Again, this is speculation at this point. We're kind of making educated guesses off of what we saw. But based on a reliable source who has information from the UFC, Conor McGregor is injured, and potentially they're going to replace it with Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka, co-main, I guess it would be, Max Holloway versus Michael Chandler, BMF. Michael Chandler fighting for the BMF. I know he fights like a savage, but even though I think the BMF is a gimmick belt, Michael Chandler fighting for the BMF is absolutely hysterical. Now, the last thing I want to look at, we have Dana White at the post-fight presser, and there was something that I thought was kind of very telling here, too, and maybe Dana White had an inkling of this potentially going on. He was asked about the BMF title belt.
Fight for the BMF?
We're working on the BMF title right now, yes, but Islam is one of the greatest fighters in the world ever in that division, and one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters in the world. So I don't think he'd be fighting for the BMF, but
yeah, Islam's one of the greatest. Why would he fight for a gimmick belt like the BMF? But listen, but the part that I really wanted to highlight is the fact that he said, we're working on the BMF title fight right now. Maybe he had a hint that this was going to happen. That's why I wanted to play that. Now, my take on this whole entire situation, and again, I'll make a follow-up video the second that it is announced what's going on. But the fact that the UFC has been radio silence, they announced that it was canceled, nothing else. That tells me behind closed doors right now, the UFC is hammering out a plan of action for UFC 303. Maybe that is Pereira versus Yuri. Maybe that's Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. Maybe that is Max Holloway versus Michael Chandler for the BMF title, because they're going to have to break out all the stops. They charge ridiculous prices for this event with the anticipation that Conor McGregor was going to return. They don't want to refund that money. Highest gate in UFC history. They don't want to return that money. So now what we get is, if Conor McGregor truly is out, what we get is a lot of meaningful, potentially meaningful, short notice fights, which I absolutely hate and can't stand, even though I do believe Pereira versus Yuri or Pereira versus Magomedov is a better fight. I do think that's a better main event for the title. I hate that it would be on short notice. And also Max Holloway, Michael Chandler for BMF title. That's a far cry from Chandler fighting McGregor. And I'm telling you right now, if Chandler does not fight McGregor at UFC 303, I believe that ship has sailed and he will never get the fight. I've been saying that forever. I told you guys I didn't believe him until they were stepping in the octagon anyway. But that's a topic for once it is confirmed. But the real big takeaway here is the UFC would have said, oh, it's logistic issues. Oh, we're having issues with the venue. Oh, this or that, or someone's not going to, whatever it was, the UFC would have already made a comment on it. I believe right now they are working out what they are going to do with UFC 303 before they officially announce the news that Conor McGregor is out. But what a sad story for Michael Chandler. Who could have ever saw that coming? I don't know. I don't know who could have ever saw that coming. But I will continue to follow this story. I will make an updated video hopefully later tonight if we get more information, if not tomorrow. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.